Hello, everyone. So yes, welcome to this session on the future of travel, trends shaping tomorrow. I'm Jenny Southan, editor, founder, and CEO of Globetrender, which is the world's leading travel trend forecasting agency and online magazine dedicated to the future of travel. In addition to being a futurist, I'm a travel journalist who's been working in the industry for about 20 years, reporting on the cutting edge of tourism. Recent assignments have taken me to Indonesia, where I was sailing around volcanic islands on this beautiful boat, and also to Jamaica just before the hurricane for a psychedelic retreat. So how do we predict the future of travel? First of all, it's not guesswork. Our methodology sits across three pillars. We look at field work, we prize our network, and we also, of course, do desk work with expert insight and real-world experiences at its core. In this age of artificial intelligence, we prize insights that are beyond the reach of algorithms. Behind the scenes, we have built a framework to help us better understand the future. We define short-lived trends relevant for just a few months as flash trends. So flash trends are these that often take the form of viral social media moments. They provide interesting reflections of customer sentiment, but are not reliable foundations for market-leading strategies with longevity. An example might be interest in travel to South Korea as a consequence of the Netflix hit K-pop Demon Hunters. Then we have micro-trends. So despite the name, micro-trends are highly actionable and have 2 to 5 years relevance. Throughout the year, we work with clients ranging from Hilton and Accor to Audley Travel and Costa Navarino in Greece to explore how innovation, culture, and consumer behavior are intersecting. Some of the trend reports and Vault newsletters we have published recently encompass micro-trends such as symbiotic uplift, equitable hospitality, multi-spoke itineraries, spellbounding, halal travel, health span hacking, mask retreats, dark sky tourism, and family sabbaticals. Our megatrends are ideal for shaping strategy for the mid to long term, so for maybe 5 to 10 years, and we'll be learning about these in a short while. So macro trends are the final set of trends in our framework. These are slow-moving external forces that we see shaping society at large, and they're not travel-specific. They could be anything from the rise of AI and robotics over the last couple of decades to the climate crisis. These impact consumer behavior, often unknowingly, on a macro scale. So let's dive into our megatrends. They're not forecasts, they are forces, and they influence every decision travelers make, whether consciously or not. And right now, we're tracking 10 of these megatrends that we believe will define the next decade of travel. So climate contours. As you know, the climate crisis is now a lived reality. Airlines are using AI to better predict severe turbulence. The Nordics are increasingly competing with the Mediterranean for summer tourism. Ski resorts aren't getting enough snow. And urban and warm weather hotels such as Mama Shelter and Casa Cook are opening properties in the mountains. Wellness wayfaring. In an anxious world, people are seeking restoration, nervous system regulation, and emotional resilience. Wellness is expanded beyond spa culture into everything from sleep training and breathwork retreats to highly clinical preventative health programs. And by 2030, the global wellness tourism industry is expected to be worth $2 trillion. That's according to Grandview Research. Number 3 is one we've called shrinking world. So technology and connectivity have collapsed distance. High-speed rail, expanded air routes, immersive digital tourism, and TikTok micro-guides are narrowing the gap between cultures. However, geopolitical tensions are now testing this hyper-connected world, raising questions about how open or closed the travel landscape may become. Beyond limits. At the same time as the world feels smaller, our appetite for exploration expands. From deep-sea expeditions to stratospheric tourism, travelers are seeking experiences that ignite awe and push people out of their comfort zones. The global adventure tourism market was estimated to be worth $406 billion in 2024. But by 2030, in just 5 years' time, spending could exceed $1 trillion. Stronger together. As cultural polarization increases, the safety and dignity of marginalized groups, such as the LGBTQ+, disabled, and neurodivergent traveler, cannot be taken for granted. Travel and hospitality brands now play an active role in protection, advocacy, and inclusion. Liquid wealth. The world is seeing tectonic movements in wealth distribution, the rise of young, ultra-high net worth individuals, and the largest intergenerational wealth transfer in history are reshaping what aspiration looks like. Wealth is now more global, more mobile, and more fluid, which is changing how luxury travel and hospitality is signaled and accessed and desired. Innovation normalization. I think this is a really interesting one. So if you feel like you're struggling to keep up with the pace of technological change in the world, that's because it really is happening fast. Experimental technologies are now expected, from AI travel agents to real-time translation. Innovation is no longer exceptional, it's assumed. Then we have youthquake. There are now 8 generations alive on planet Earth, with the first generation beta babies born this year. Generation Alpha, so currently aged between 1 and 15, will start entering the workplace before the end of the decade. So with 2 billion children globally, youthquake will be profoundly disruptive, reshaping markets and mindsets as Gen Alpha comes of age. Homestretch. By 2030, the number of global digital jobs that can be performed remotely is expected to rise by roughly 25% to 92 million. That's according to the World Economic Forum. This adjustment to location independence means the definition and function of home is changing. For hospitality, this signals a shift from providing temporary stays to supporting new modes of living. And the transformation economy. So this is our final megatrend, and we're going to dive into this one a little deeper. For high net worth and aspirational luxury consumers in particular, travel has become a catalyst for personal growth. In the 2020s and beyond, people want to come back as new and improved versions of themselves. What this means is that the next competitive advantage for the travel industry is not comfort or efficiency, but optimization. Travel experiences are now tools for self-actualization. And this isn't just philosophical, it's economic. By 2032, the global personal development market is expected to be worth $73 billion, and that's up from $42 billion in 2022. So in the years ahead, personal development is poised to undergo a revolution. Now, as I mentioned at the start, I recently had the opportunity to experience one of the pioneers of the transformation economy, a company called Beckley Retreats. And Beckley Retreats is a high-end brand that hosts psychedelic-assisted wellness therapy in places where psilocybin, or magic mushrooms, as you might know, are legal. And these are places like Jamaica and the Netherlands. In fact, they might only be the only two countries in the world that they are legal in. So although my trip was honestly deeply challenging, I've come back with a new perspective on the way I live my life and what my priorities are. For consumers who are seeking meaning and direction, this is pure gold. So this brings me on to a pop culture moment from earlier this year, when Blue Origin took a group of high-profile women, including Jeff Bezos' fiancée at the time, up to the edge of space. Now, a lot of people were quick to criticize the expedition as frivolous and self-serving. Now, self-serving it might have been, but it would appear there was nothing frivolous about it for singer Katy Perry. Moments after landing, she was rushed into a media interview, and she said, "This whole journey is not just about going into space. It's the training, it's the team, it's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is up there with all the different tools that I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process, because what you're doing is really finding the love for yourself, because when you have to trust yourself, what you're doing is on this journey, and then you're feeling the love, and when you come down, for sure, you're feeling strength." Anyway, you know, was this a pre-prepared message signed off by Blue Origin? We don't know, we can't be sure, but her words are poignant. She said, "It's not just about going to space. This is up there with all the different tools I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process. These are emotive, powerful words that fit within a history of post-stratospheric enlightenment." Back in 1969, astronaut Michael Collins aboard Apollo 11 said, "The thing that really surprised me was that Earth projected an air of fragility. And why, I don't know. I don't know to this day. I had a feeling it's tiny, it's shiny, it's beautiful, it's home, and it's fragile." What many online commentators failed to recognize that was Katy Perry's reaction was a textbook example of an astronaut experiencing the overview effect. Similar to a psychedelic journey, the overview effect is a cognitive shift whereby seeing the Earth from space radically changes how you view life, humanity, and your place in the universe. In this sense, both psychedelic travel and space tourism share similar potential for transformation. However you go about achieving an altered state, the existential challenges we are facing as a species means there's never been a more urgent need for transformation than in this brave new world. Now, this is hugely significant for businesses, especially in the travel and hospitality space, because transformation is a new fundamental economic shift that guides people to change, achieve their aspirations, and become who they want to be. So Joseph Pine's new book, as you can see here on the screen, is going to be out next year, and it really does crystallize this new trajectory, pushing it into the wider public consciousness, just as he did with the publication of his book on the experience economy back in 1999, and we all know what impact that had on the travel industry. So he argues that as human aspirations rise, so must the ways we create and deliver value. And this is a diagram that Globetrender created a couple of years ago, identifying how traveler motivations correlate with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This framework helps us understand the full spectrum of human motivation, from the most basic survival needs, like food and safety, to higher aspirations such as belonging, esteem, and ultimately self-actualization. So if we're going to meet the demands of tomorrow's world, we must move beyond merely surviving. We must create the conditions for human flourishing at every level of Maslow's pyramid. The challenge for businesses, of course, is that selling transformation is very different to selling goods or services or even experiences. You can't simply deliver a transformation to someone, because transformation is something the individual must actively participate in. What businesses can do is design the conditions, guide the journey, and customize the path to help people achieve the change that they seek. So Pine says, customization is the antidote to commoditization. Although transformation is particularly relevant to the luxury traveler who has already acquired a lot of experiences and material goods, it's not just for the elite. Probably the biggest transformation we have experienced as a global society in the last couple of years is generative AI. Although it's proving hugely helpful in fields such as law and medicine, the most popular applications in 2025, as reported by Harvard Business Review, are actually in regard to emotional betterment and personal growth or transformation. So as you can see at the top there, we have therapy and companionship, life organization, and finding purpose. So what this indicates is that AI has the power to create transformation at scale. Now, before we conclude, here are 3 examples of pioneers in the travel space who are leveraging the transformation economy. In summer 2025, high-end adventure travel company Cookson Adventures announced a partnership with private integrated medical and longevity practice Solace to offer trips that deliver health and well-being in a non-obvious way. So founder Henry Cookson said, when you are in an inspiring location, surrounded by nature, you're much more open to making profound changes in your daily life. You don't need to go to a punishing clinic to combat a better version of yourself. Often the most important improvements happen when you're not noticing. Discover Collection has been founded by the former president of Six Senses. Now, it will be a private membership community for travelers who want holidays to contribute to the places that they visit. And its first properties will open next year in Oman and Kenya, if all goes to plan, before a staggered but expansive rollout across destinations including Albania, Switzerland, Mexico, Ireland, and Greece. Perhaps Discover Collection's most innovative idea is what Globetrender calls post-trip integration, ensuring that the impact of the stay extends well beyond the property. Members are connected with local practitioners and experts who help weave the passions they explored on holiday into their daily lives back home. In this way, the hotel becomes a lifestyle that's lived 365 days a year. And our third innovation comes from Hypershell, which is building exoskeletons to help people climb mountains. Imagine embarking on a multi-day trek with the ability to carry your gear with 40% less effort, says Hypershell. That's truly transformative. So what's the real takeaway? The most powerful journeys today aren't about luxury, they're about evolution. The transformation economy is emerging as the future of high-impact travel. Guests don't just want to escape, they want to grow, to reset, to return changed. And for brands, that means designing places and experiences that don't just impress, they transform. Because in a world of sameness, transformation is the ultimate differentiator. Thank you so much.